12 things that I've learned after being in business for 12 years. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. This is Andrea Eppolito, celebrating life, luxury, and above all else, love. It has been a minute since we've just sat and talked like this because we had so much fantastic content to share with you from the Tahoe series, from behind the scenes. I love that you've gone on that journey with me. I'm thrilled at the reaction and all of the excitement that we had. But I really missed just sitting and talking with you. And this weekend, my company celebrated its 12th anniversary. And I thought, what a great opportunity for me to sit down and share with you 12 things that I've learned after being in business for 12 years. So let's talk about it. Number one, clarity is king. Clarity is key. It is everything and the foundation of owning and operating a successful business, especially a creative one. Now, when I say clarity, what does that mean? It means understanding and knowing deeply who you are as a person and as a business. It means knowing the work that you want to do, who you do it for, and why. Now, clarity is going to help you in so many ways, aside from the fact that it's going to help you with your marketing, aside from the fact that it's going to help you with your branding. Questions are going to come up in your business. You are going to have decisions to make. And if you can weigh those decisions against your sense of clarity, against your own internal kind of metric for what is success for me, you will have a much easier time. You will have much less anxiety when, say, a potential customer comes up and you're trying to decide, should I work with this person? When you know who your ideal client is, it'll be much easier for you to make that decision. When you're talking about marketing and advertising, should I put my name in this magazine? Should I do something with this blog? If you really know yourself, your business, and your clients, it's going to be much easier for you to make those decisions and also stay very clean and very true to really who you are. The second thing is accountability and responsibility. I am accountable for absolutely everything that happens. I am accountable and responsible for all of the good and for all of the bad. Because when you own a business, everything stops and everything starts with you. So it's not about turning around and saying, it's so easy to point fingers and say, this vendor didn't show up on time. This person didn't do the thing that I wanted them to do. The economy is down. When you start doing that, when you look for someone or something else to blame, you are relinquishing so much of your own internal power and your ability to navigate your ship. So there is a sense of personal accountability to where I hold myself accountable for everything that gets done and everything that doesn't get done. Gets done. I make the decisions about, is this a priority? I get to decide how things are going to go. And then I have to take ownership and responsibility for the outcome of those decisions. But there's also a level of accountability and responsibility that you have to the outside world. You are accountable to your community. How you show up for your vendors, how you show up for the industry at large has a lot to do with your own sense of self. And you are responsible for helping to move the industry in the direction that you want it to go. You're accountable and responsible for your clients and to your clients. Did you do what you said you were going to do, when and how you said you were going to do it? So, accountability, responsibility, these are huge. Number three is building deep connections with others. Now, I'm a solopreneur, and with the exception of the fact that my husband is my sounding board and my partner in business and in life, on a day to day basis, I work alone, as many of you do. And so that means that your ability to connect with others in your industry is so important. When I started out, there were no blogs, there were no online courses, there were very few books about getting started as a wedding planner, getting started in a creative business. And so it was my ability to go and to meet other people, to ask questions, and to develop relationships where I said, hey, I need this, or I just found this out. My ability to connect with my clients, my ability to connect with people who really even weren't my clients, but who were outside, who were maybe more aspirational to my business, to get a better understanding of where the market was, where the industry was, what I needed to learn, and how I could be better. That brings me to number 4. One of the most important things is feedback. Getting feedback has been, it's feedback is tough because some people, you sit there and you're like, I don't really want to hear it, or you get the criticism or you get the compliment even, and you don't really know what to do with it. But the ability to go out and get feedback, information is power. So your ability to go out into the world, to ask the right questions, to take the answers in, and to process them somewhat unemotionally, but also to decide, is this real? Is this legitimate? Is it going to help my business or hurt my business? I constantly am asking my clients for feedback about their experience with me. At least once a month, I do a how you doing email, a how you doing phone call, just to check in and say, do we feel comfortable? Not am I doing a good job, because I own and run the process of taking my clients from point A to point B, but checking in emotionally, figuring out, is there something else that I could be doing? Is there a way that I could be more of service? Is there a way that I could help them feel more at ease, more excited? I also ask for feedback from my partners and my collaborators. At the end of every event I do, I send out a massive thank you email to everyone. I call everyone out. I praise them publicly, which is so important. And then I ask them to give me feedback about their experience working with me. Because sometimes I'll hear, like, oh, you send a lot of emails. I didn't necessarily know which one was the most recent. Or I got multiple timelines and it took me a minute to figure out which timeline was the most up to date. That was great information for me, because in my head, I'm like, oh, well, you just go to the most recent email. But for a vendor who works in volume, who's got so many emails, the first thing I did was say, okay, let me put a date on my timeline. The second thing I did was move to a Google Doc where everything was constantly up to date. So getting that feedback helped me be a better partner, helped me run a better business, and ultimately creates a better experience for my clients. And that brings us to number 5, which is change. Feedback will help you change for the better. Do not be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of growth. Don't be afraid of a shift. There are so many things that when you start out a business, I think a lot of us, we have tunnel vision. I want to be a wedding planner. I want to be a photographer. I want to own a venue. Whatever it is that you want to be, you get like this. And it's the only thing that you can see. As you grow and as you develop skills, you start to broaden that, and you'll look out into the world and you'll see white space and you'll see things and you'll say to yourself, I think I could do that. I think maybe I could be helpful here. I think maybe I could be of service. I think maybe I have a skill or a vision that can bring something interesting to this particular part of the world. 12 years ago, in a million years, I could not have imagined that I would be designing art installations for hotels. I never for a second thought that I would be in a position to where I was educating. And I certainly didn't think, like, oh, well, in addition to weddings, I can design somebody's home office or I could design their living room. But I was open to change. I was willing to listen and to look and to say, I have a skill set and I have an ability that can allow me to do something else that not only feeds my soul creatively, but brings money into the business and gives back to the people, the community, the industry that I love so much. Be open to change and be willing to try a little bit of everything. Number 6 is not quite as sexy or fun, but it is incredibly important, and it is living and dying by your numbers. I think right now we all have come to understand how important cash flow is. So when I talk about living and dying by your numbers, I always at all times know how much money I have coming in. I know what my costs are, how much money I have going out, when those two things happen. So, when is the money coming? When is the money leaving? And I always make sure that I have a cushion. Now, the truth is, I feel my best when I have a year of operating expenses sitting in the bank that is a cushion that I don't need to touch. It certainly was a great help going into the pandemic. It's been a help as economies have slowed, but it gives me that FU money feeling of I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do. It takes years to build up that kind of a cushion. But I would tell you right now, start to create a cushion for a rainy day. Start to put money away. This way, you are able to manage your cash flow. You're able to operate numbers in, numbers out. So important. If you haven't spent time with your finances, go cozy up to them. It's tough, but once you get it, it gives you such a sense of security. And even if it scares you at first, understanding your numbers, like I said, information is power. Understanding your numbers are going to help you cut your costs, manage your expenses, and put you in a place where you can be much more profitable, which is what you want and you deserve for yourself, your business, and your family. Once you understand your numbers, marketing, you need to market the hell out of your business all day, every day. I never leave the house not looking put together, not looking like this, because I believe that you are a walking, talking billboard for your business every single minute. So whether I am dropping off my kids at school, running to the gym, going to the grocery store, I have no idea where my next potential customer could be. There's a real good chance they're at my gym. There's a real good chance that they're at Whole Foods or that their kids go to school with my kids. So I am always very intentional with the fact that I am always on, I am always marketing. Aside from how you move through the world, marketing also means, are you placing ads? Are you signing up to be on lists? Are you submitting your work? Are you going out there and even paying for placement on Google? These things are incredibly important. And for different businesses, the value is different. But the one place that we all need to be marketing is social media. You absolutely have to have a social media plan. You have to have a social media voice because as print goes away, as blogs start to slow down, the place that everyone, your clients and your industry, the place that people are looking is social media. So that is Instagram, that's TikTok, that's YouTube, that's blogs and it's everything. You have a voice. You are responsible for using it and for marketing your business every single solitary day. And I know that it feels like it can be tough. But the reality is, if you love it and if you're passionate about it, you can always find something to say every single day. After marketing, we have team building. So I mentioned earlier, I'm a solopreneur. It is myself, and even though my husband is a partner, on a day to day basis, the owning and operating of Andrea Eppolito events falls on me. That can be isolating. It can be, I'm somebody who really loves to be alone, but there is a sense of being on an island. And it is also really important to realize that I don't do any of the stuff that you really see. I don't cook the food for my weddings. I don't make the bouquets. I don't build the centerpieces. I don't set up the tables. All of the things that happen in my business happen because of partnerships and collaborations with other businesses. So, really building a team, building a network, building a collaboration and a partnership with vendors and people from the outside is wildly important. And so I have taken quite a bit of time and invested in understanding other people's businesses, understanding other people's personalities. Because when I'm building out my team and I'm looking at a client and I'm saying, This is the journey I want to take you on. These are the things I want you to experience. This is the stuff I want you to have access to. And this is what I want you to have on the other side. It's really helpful for me to know priority one is photography for this client. And so this is the right photographer, which means I can't have this videographer because they don't really mesh well. Or this florist is the right person to install the centerpieces, but I know that they're going to have issue with this lighting tech. So building out the right teams, taking all of those pieces into consideration, managing up to your clients, managing laterally and side to side with your vendors and your collaborators, and even managing down to an extent when you have other people that are kind of passing through. The ability to build a team and have it be one team, one dream, on site, monumentally important. Another thing that is so important is focus and discipline. Now, it is hard at times to be really focused. We all have big, crazy, chaotic lives. We all have a lot of stuff floating around. And so, how do you find your focus? For some people, it is I know that I need 3 hours to write one chapter of the book. So, scheduling in 3 hours of uninterrupted deep focus, quiet time. Everyone needs a certain environment that they work really well in. So for me, I don't like to work when like I'm freezing cold. My husband loves to freeze me out of the house. He's big on air conditioning and fans and all of these things. I can't think. So when I need to be really focused, I know that I need to be somewhere where my environment is conducive to that. And discipline means doing the thing that you have to do, even though you don't want to do it. I wake up every day. I don't always want to go to the gym, but I know that going to the gym on the other side is better for me. There's that scene in The Breakup where, nobody wants to do the dishes. I actually love doing the dishes, but it's turning around and saying, in my business, I know that I have to make these phone calls. I know that I have to send these emails. I know that I must spend time looking at my finances. I know that it's important for me to send and to post this blog or schedule this social media. Knowing what you need to do, having the discipline that says, even though I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it, and putting yourself in a place that allows you to really focus and get it done. I can get more done in 3 hours than most people can get done in 2 days because I've developed a plan and a program that helps me focus, and that gives me the discipline to get everything off of my to-do list. Communication. Communication is number 10 on our list. And I am a big believer in over communicating. You can solve so many problems in advance. You can avoid so many problems if you just pick up the phone, send the email, have the text message exchange, whatever it is. So there are two different types of communication. There's technical communication. These are the pieces and the steps that need to be taken care of in order to get things done. And there's interpersonal communication, which is really about problem solving. I love a hard conversation. I love the opportunity to have the hard talk because I love clearing the air and I like the energy that comes from tackling a problem and saying, it's not me against you, it's us against this issue. I actually really enjoy that. I should have been a lawyer. But the other thing is communication and information. So I'm going to go back to timelines as an example. I start writing my timeline as soon as I start working with a client. I start developing a client profile, a client avatar. I build out the list of these are all of our partners and collaborators. This is their email. This is their phone number. This is their social. I start sending that out to the team so people can start to work together. 90 days out, I send the first version of the timeline and I say, hey, these are the broad strokes, because that gives us 3 months to make adjustments if we need to shift a production schedule, or if the photographer needs more time for portraits, or if the kitchen feels like they need an extra 20 minutes to get an additional course out. I send it out again at 60 days. I send it again at 30 days. From 30 days on, I'm sending timeline updates weekly, sometimes twice a week. And just because I send it doesn't mean that you've read it. And so I will then go back and text message people and say, like, hey, didn't hear from you. Want to make sure. Did you get the timeline? Did you read it? Did you see this specific thing? And if there's still a little bit of shakiness, I will pick up the phone and I will call and say, this is a level 1 priority. This is urgent to the success of the overall event. I need to make sure that I've communicated it in a way that you can understand. That will remove so many issues from you in the future. Number 11, work-life integration. I don't say work-life balance because I think that I think balance is bullshit. And I think it's another thing that we've used to guilt each other and guilt ourselves into not being enough. It's not about balance. I don't want to be half into my personal life and half into my business. I want to be all in to the thing that's in front of me when it's in front of me. And so, what that has meant for me is that I need to integrate my business into my personal life, and I needed to integrate my life into my business. So, quick example, when my kids are in school, I know that it takes an hour and a half to do what I call the school loop, getting them in the car, taking two children to two different schools in two different locations, and then returning home. It's an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes in the morning. It's an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes at pickup. So that basically means that I give up 2.5 hours of my work day to the drive. So I can complain, I can whine, I can bitch and moan, or I can just turn around and say, all right, for those 2.5 hours, I have a captive audience with my kids. So that's going to be really great time for me to talk with them about school, to talk with them about their friends, to talk to them about our family, about life, about anything that I want them to learn. I'm not sitting in front of a computer. It's a great time for me to connect with them during what a lot of people consider a 9 to 5, 10 to 6 work day. I block those items, those times out. Unless it is urgent, I don't take phone calls when I'm doing it. I certainly am not. I mean, I'm driving, I'm not checking social media or emails or anything like that. But I integrate those life requirements into my workday. And then on the back end, after dinner, when my kids are having homework time, when my kids are having guitar time, when my kids are having, tech time and phones and iPads and whatever it is that they're doing, if they're kind of busy off doing their own thing for an hour and a half, even though it's after hours, I buy that time back. And so I don't have a set schedule. I don't have a start or a stop. What I have is a fully realized integrated life that allows me to be dedicated every minute of every day to the thing that is in front of me that needs and deserves my attention the most. And then the last thing that I have learned over the last 12 years is that the business will provide because the business always does. We will have highs and lows. We will have peaks and dips and valleys, and it is absolutely normal. If you look at any type of business trends, economics, anything like that, you always see that it goes up and down. And so I have learned that when you are really, really high at the top and you're surveying your domain and you're looking out and you're saying, God, it just doesn't get better than this. And I have been so lucky to have those moments over and over and over again. Every time I think like, God, where am I going to go from here? There's always a new mountain to climb. But when you're up there and you're looking out, make sure that you look down because there will be a dip, and when you're in it, it's low and it's hard and it's difficult. But if you could just take a breath and realize that this is about the process, it's about the climb, you will always find a way to do a side hustle, pick something else up, do whatever it is that you need to do. But if you stay committed to the clarity, if you stay committed to the accountability, if you continue to connect with others, network, feedback, change, if you dig deep, into your numbers, if you're constantly marketing yourself, surrounding yourself with good people, communicating and living your life, the business will provide, because the business always does, because really the business is you. So it's been, gosh, one hell of a journey over the last 12 years. I am thrilled, honored, and humbled to have a place in this industry. I am honored to share my voice and my perspective with you. I hope that this has helped. If you are celebrating an anniversary right now, I would love to hear about it so that I can celebrate with you. And if you have any questions or any topics that you would like me to cover, it is linked below. Go to www.andreaeppolito.com/ask. You can ask me your questions. I will answer them, because this entire platform, this community, is my gift and my thank you to you. Until next time, my friends, celebrating life luxury and above all else love, I'll talk to you soon.